To Hassan, who's in Slough. Hassan, hi there. Your reaction to what's going on between Gaza and Israel?
Yes, it was absolutely appalling to see the attacks on Israeli civilians. You did ask the question earlier on to another guest or the Jewish editor, Jake. Was it Priti Patel's decision to classify Hamas as a terrorist organization that led to further radicalization? No, it isn't. Because the Hamas Charter, which was created in 1987, its charter was, from day one, to throw the Jews out to the sea to destroy Israel. So they've carried that through. So the status, whether it's a terrorist organization or not, is irrelevant. Their actions are terrorist. Yeah. And what is quite disturbing to me as a Muslim is the lack of response from my own Muslim communities in condemning Hamas, because and many people may not know this, but from an Islamic point of view, you cannot target civilians, kill civilians, or take them hostages. That is a no-go under Sharia, under Islamic principles. So they are breaking the rules. And the reason why this is important is because the Hamas leader said that he was carrying out the prophetic mission. Okay, and he called on all Muslims to support him. How dare he misuse our religion when the Prophet never targeted innocent civilians.
Didn't the Hamas leader, cite the activity at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third most holy site in the Muslim world, as legitimate cause for the actions of Hamas? I mean, it can't just but obviously, as you say, the Hamas's founding principles are to sort of drive Israel into the sea anyway. So Al-Aqsa Mosque was an additional reason for Hamas to carry out those attacks.
Well, Al-Aqsa, but then it comes to the religion. Our religion is not Al-Aqsa Mosque. Our religion is the Quran and the prophetic way. What do they say? And it is clear-cut. Absolutely clear-cut. And what he was trying to do was exactly what Saddam Hussein tried to do in Gulf War I, was to send Scud missiles to Israel in order to unite the Arab and the Muslim world. That's not going to work. And a few minutes ago, half an hour ago, I watched the interview with Hassan Zamlot, the Palestinian ambassador to the UK. He was asked point blank, do you condemn the actions of Hamas? And he refused to answer that question because the excuse was that you cannot compare the oppressor with the victim.
So hold on. So democratic Arab states are not condemning the actions of the terrorist group Hamas at all. Have we not seen one democratic Arab country condemn Hamas?
I haven't scanned all of the news.
Well, we've seen one former Labour leader refuse to condemn Hamas already, although he sidestepped it a bit more cleverly than that by saying he condemns all violence or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you think that that's going to feed into any risk of escalation beyond the borders of Israel?
Well, the one way to de-escalate, and I've said this before a few times over the last few years, because, I know about radicalization. I've worked with the Prevent. I know the thinking. I did say before that Muslim countries should recognize the state of Israel. Morocco has, UAE has, Bahrain and Saudi Arabia soon, God willing, will recognize Israel. They must do more to take out and annihilate the extremists and Hamas maybe operating within Muslim countries. So, yes, to answer your question, Muslim governments must do more because when they all recognize the state of Israel, peace is going to break out. There'll be no need to fire rockets into Israel, and there'll be no need for retaliation where more Palestinians die, unfortunately, because Israel, will hit 10 times as hard. So who's to blame for this? It is Hamas. So the solution is something that's been missing throughout this last 70 years, is the Abrahamic religion. So the Abrahamic Accords needs to be supported more aggressively now. This is the Holy Land, and religion is completely absent from all the discourse that we have. So there are commonalities between Muslims, Jews, Christians, and people of other faith. That's what we need to unite on and find commonality. And I understand you have a Palestinian guest that's going to come on very soon. If you wouldn't mind asking this question on my behalf,
certainly.
Why are you not condemning Hamas? Because our religion, Islam, is very specific about not targeting civilians. Even if there is injustice against us we cannot do the same. That's full stop.
Okay. And whatever Israel has done with regard to settlements, with regard to the condition of those who live in on the West Bank or the Gaza Strip, notwithstanding all of that, everybody should condemn the terrorist behaviour of Hamas, whether they're Palestinian or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you ask the guest that question...
Okay, I will. Well, that will be my first guest, to Mohammed El-Kurd, who will be joining us very shortly. Thank you very much for that, Hassan. Strike. So, I don't even need to ask you, Mohammed El-Kurd, whether you will condemn the terroristic attacks on Israeli soil.
What do you mean
Hamas.
You don't even need to ask me? What?
Well, because you've made it very clear that you think it's very justified.
You don't think it's absolutely inappropriate and offensive to bring me on your show to interrogate me about the contents of my heart and just to assume what I...
over to you. What are the contents of your heart? What are the contents of your heart when you see these? Hold on.
You have absolutely no right to interrogate the contents of my heart.
No, okay. Well, then I'm inviting you to share. You don't feel anything when you see women raped, decapitated, people dragged through the streets, taken hostage by Hamas. You think that's absolutely fair game and something that you are speaking as a Palestinian journalist who's reported on this, who lives, I think you said, in Jerusalem. You think this is absolutely legitimate retaliation in revenge for everything Israel has done over the past 75 years.
Let's not put words in my mouth. I see every single day, I see images of Palestinians decapitated, shot in the street for nothing. I see Palestinian homes being demolished. I grew up in a home where my grandmother stayed up every night reminiscing about the settler gangs that went into her home and massacred her neighborhood and forced her to become a refugee. These are things I grew up with. And I am not going to sit here and be told that the violence that is enacted against Palestinians is normal and quotidian and business as usual and institutionalized and bureaucratized and facilitated and okay and acceptable.
I didn't say that, but you're putting words into my mouth now. I did not say that. I regret and denounce all violence by Israelis against the occupied territories and all Palestinian citizens. And actually, I don't count, but the UN itself has denounced what the Israelis doing in the settlers. It's doing that against international law too. I'm not saying Israel is perfect.